anything. It's the greatest find yet. Nothing compares to it.
But it's definitely something you should hear.
This is The Real Deal with Larry Lawton.
Oh, welcome to The Real Deal with me, Larry Lawton, and I have a special guest today. I have Ed Rose and Dan Carlson from Canada. So we got a couple of different people in the studio. A couple of things before we start. I'll get my book and my cigar box. And first of all, I want to thank Oliva Cigars. Oliva Cigars are our sponsor, and they are great. We have a new show coming out on our website. It's called The Cigar Show with Larry Lawton, and we interview a CEO of Oliva with 6,100 employees. I rob a cigar store. That's another one. And also, we got a tour of a 40,000 square foot warehouse. Talk about logistics and how well they do that, Ed. And so we do that, and that's coming out on our website. We have to put that on our website, everybody, because what happens is none of the internet will let you promote cigars, tobacco, or alcohol.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know why they do that. Also, everybody, check out our cigars. Crooked Diamond Cigars, right here. Cook them out. Great cigars, a premium cigar. They're going crazy. Everybody's loving them. And the book, Gangster Redemption, is still going crazy. I do sign them for people, and we sell them every day, all day long, which is pretty good. I own it, which is the best thing I've ever done. I was offered a lot of money from Simon & Schuster, and I ended up telling them to go fuck themselves.
Ooh, Larry,
which made me feel good. Anyway, people, so now we're going to talk to Ed. Ed Jones. I ended up meeting Ed Jones. His son owns a bar called the 142. Ed Rose, that's what I said, right?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I thought you
Did
said Ed Rose.
I don't know what I said.
Yeah,
I'm half brain dead.
Yeah,
anyway.
maybe I didn't hear it right.
I probably did mess up. That's okay. That's what's called
I
the
think
real
so.
deal.
It's a real deal, dude. You ever mess up in real life?
Did he tell you that? You know, once these cameras run, mailman comes in, my mother walking.
Oh, really?
Nothing stops.
That's good, man. That's
and the
good.
reason we do that, and people like it, is because they feel like they're in on a conversation. You're hanging out and you sit down. And I've had people in here, and the mailman, we made him a star. He comes in. Hey, Garfield is his name, from New York. And he comes in, delivered the mail, leaves, and I've had him on the show now. He goes, oh, my whole route knows who I am now.
Well, Larry, the one thing I'd say is that, you know, when you invited me when I met you the first time, I thought we had a connection. I started looking at your podcast, and I said, dude, I haven't been in prison lately. So I didn't know
No, you know, here's the difference. You know, first of all, the podcast is doing good. We're top 1% in the world. Out of 3 million, and 86 countries we're heard in, which is pretty wild. And I still get blown away because who the fucking, you know, Istanbul wants to listen to Larry. You know what I mean? I don't get it.
You're an interesting guy, man.
But you know what you said, Ed? I want to touch on this. This show is not just about ex-cons, and it's about people who, right here in Canada, yourself, people who are regular people who worked hard, made their mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes.
Absolutely.
I love people say, I never made a mistake. I was I was speaking with 300 people, and one of the persons that, you know, said, oh, I would never go to jail. I said, hold on. I said, let me ask you a question. And everybody's in this whole room gets quiet. Have you ever drove 15, 20 miles over the speed limit, passing somebody or something? He goes, oh, I'm sure I have. If you killed somebody, that's vehicular homicide, and you're going to be my cellie. And you don't want to be my cellie, I told him.
Yeah, that's for sure, man.
But what people don't get is, listen, I have a shirt. You know this. I don't know if you know. Its shirt says, I don't believe in bad people. I believe in bad choices.
Yeah, you know? No, I'm fully aware of that.
Now, don't get me wrong. I was in prison with bad people. But I still see so many young people. You know, a lot of people tell me to, Ed, they'll say, oh, my kid, he's no good, he's whatever. I said, first thing I ask a kid, anybody, and it could be a bad kid, what do you like? Do you like animals? Oh, I love dogs, I love whatever. He loves something, and he's not lost. If you see that a person can give compassion or empathy towards something, then you just have to bring it out of him.
Let me interject one thing here. I think it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy when you say your kid's no good.
how can you do that? You know, I was at a meeting in Washington D.C. I'm on a board for young people, and they said somebody says one of the chiefs in Washington D.C. It's called the Weed and Seed, and there's this big table, and we had a $40 million budget and all that, and then one guy goes, "Well, we have to give up on some of these kids."
You're right.
I
There's
got
a
up.
mistake there.
I got up. Bam! I slammed my phone down. Everybody's looking at me. I said, "Who in this room could program their phone quicker than their 15-year-old kid?" They're all looking at me. I said, "You and I in this room, we take the phone, we open it, we look at the directions, we hit a button, we look at the directions. What is my 15-year-old, at the time I had a 15-year-old daughter, what does she do? She gets the phone, plays with it, reboots it, turns it on, reboots it, does it, gives it back to me, says it's done."
Yeah.
I said, "We got to the same place. We learn different. We have to respect the young people because they're different, they learn different, and they're not always wrong." And then I say to him, I says, "I got out of prison at 46 years old, and my record is not good. Let's just leave it at that." People know it. I mean, robberies and this. I was a wild child. We're gonna talk about your childhood, Ed.
Yeah.
And with that, I change. People change. I have to tell you, Ed, you're
6 years old.
76. He looks great. First of all, if anybody, you got to go on the podcast. We have a podcast channel as well. You got to go on and look at Ed. We're going to be taking pictures. Man, I want to look. I want to live to your age. And so does Dan.
They got Dan. Look at Dan.
I know.
He's 50 years old. 50,
I'm
52
53,
years old.
you said, right?
53, yeah.
Man, I'm feeling bad here. I got to get back in the gym.
Nah, you look good, Larry. You look good, man. Look, when I first met you, you were trim and energetic and a little. Well, you had a little drink. Let's put it that way.
A few.
But look, and I saw you in another picture. You were like huge, man. Big old arms, bigger than my head.
I used to, I was a big guy. I used to bench. My max bench was 375.
Wow.
I could never get to the 400 club, but that was just something I got into. And, it's all. Yeah, and then here, actually, you know what I'm going to be interviewing?
That's in pipes, dude.
You guys are going to love this interview. I'm going to be interviewing a arm wrestling champ of the world.
Really?
He played in the movie Over the Top with Arnold, with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
He had wild guy, meaning a wild guy. He had his troubles, and that's why we're going to. A friend knows him, and he said he wants to come on my show, and I'm definitely going to bring him on. And I want to get something to you right now.
Okay.
Ed. You grew up in Jersey.
I did.
First of all, you're a successful man. You had a great career. You have beautiful kids. Kids make mistakes. That's normal. But you also raised good kids. I talk to them. They got respect, and that's the key in I think in life. Read, communicate. If you can read and communicate, a lot of other stuff you can put a little bit aside. Yes, you should know your basic math.
One thing I didn't like to do is read as a kid. That's a mistake.
Really? Yeah, I was an avid reader. Still am. I enjoy to read.
Well, one thing in my family, man, I hate to interrupt. I got this thought burning through my head, but I never. My family, my parents, I was adopted. That's a whole nother story. But they were fourth grade educated. And I had never heard about college. I grew up in a log cabin, just like Abraham Lincoln. No indoor water, no indoor plumbing. Okay.
And this is what year were you born?
I was born in 1946. And this was in.
You're 15 years older, man.
Yeah.
This is in Jersey. Is this in Jersey?
Jersey. Yeah. I didn't know I was poor, dude. Until I used to stay in other people's houses. They had a lot of more stuff than I had, dude. But I really didn't know I was poor. But
But don't you think that built your character?
No, no. Well, yes and no. It built me in the context of when I got to find out. Well, I'm going to head to a little longer story here because
I want to tell people you retired from Harris Corporation, and then
corporate training,
and
manager.
You are also a Hall of Fame softball player, and still to this day travel.
Yeah,
and are you on the same team?
No, he's on the 50s. I play on the 75 and over World Championships. I've actually have a record that probably no one will break anytime soon. But I've been on the best team out of Florida for 40 years since I was 35 years old.
Wow!
At the top level, there's a lot of levels in softball, but softball is a sport. It's a game. It's like playing checkers or what's that, cornhole, okay, or golf. But I'm at the top of my game. That's what it was all
Are you
about.
still?
Yeah, I'm one of the better. Well, I don't play both sides of the ball like I used to. I just hit. As long as I hit. Once
Oh,
I
you're
stop,
not on the field anymore?
well, I catch. But, that's throwing the ball back.
Yeah.
But I've been fighting cancer, had 3 or 4 operations last year. So, I'm lucky.
You look great.
Yeah.
I hope everything's in remission.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
for
Well,
you.
I got skin cancer. It's never in. You just got to stay on top.
Yeah, I
of it,
have
man.
a little stuff.
Yeah,
and,
but I take my CBD and I get in. I'm a Joe Rogan. I think I was doing it before Joe Rogan was doing it, but I do cold plunges. I get in 45-degree water.
Oh, you do those? Those the things. I have a friend who owns a couple of stores like that. That you get in those tubs or
Well,
something.
no, you can get. They can have tubs, but I was doing cryo.
Cryo. That's what I meant.
I was doing cryo, but cold plunge. Cryo can't touch cold plunge as far as effectiveness.
Really?
You
And what exactly is a cold plunge? Tell the audience.
Cold plunge is like a bath.
Of ice.
Bathtub. No, it's not ice. It's just there's chiller alongside of it. That's the way you used to do it, and that's a pain in the ass get the ice because I tried to do that in the past. That's why cryo was so effective. But some guys, American ingenuity, they got this little bathtub with a little what do you call it? Compressor chiller. What?
Yeah, like a condenser.
The
That could keep
condenser
you.
that chills the water, and it's so convenient. And they got one that switches back from hot to cold, but I got a sauna right next to it. I actually do so many things that try to keep me young. It's kind of ridiculous, but it works, man. That cold plunge is the bomb. My son does it now. I've turned a lot of my buddies onto it.
What does it do for you? Like I often, you see people do. I was stationed when I was in the Coast Guard, and I got hurt actually in the Bering Sea out in Alaska. And I remember being a diver on the ship and having to go in, but we had dry suits. We didn't have, because the
What's
water.
a dry suit?
Dry suit is you don't get wet. The water don't touch you.
Okay.
You literally you go under the ship. You had to check the props, check the radars, check the sonar system. We had a 378-foot ship, so we had a dive team that we used to do stuff. But besides the dive team, we used to go play in the water. I did survival school in Alaska, in Kodiak, Alaska.
Oh my Lord!
But you ever see the people they jump in the water? I mean, just they call it the polar bear
Yeah,
plunge.
I've seen
Is that what
Fought
you're
those
talking
people
about?
crash. It's very similar, but different. And who's the Uberman? Uberman, it's got a lot of stuff on that. Professor Uberman, you ever watch him?
Mm-mm.
He's got a podcast that's got millions of people on it. He's a pretty intelligent guy, but he supports it. But what is it about? It's about, look, the guy that really is the father of cold plunges or coldness is Wim Hof on YouTube, and he's climbed Mount Everest or in his shorts, and he stayed. I seen him one time in a presentation where the guy's talking. They put him in a thing of ice for like 20 minutes, and he stayed in. He's in a glass tube like magicians get in the water.
What's that guy's name? David Blaine.
David
Isn't
Blaine,
he?
yeah.
That guy's
well,
crazy.
he does that kind of stuff. But this guy's doing it for real. Now,
No, he's real. That guy's real, David Blaine.
But I brought out Uberman. See, I'm like a squirrel sometimes, jumping from tree to tree to lose my train of thought. But Uberman said that it's different when you aren't consciously, if you're consciously getting in that cold water, it affects your body differently. And I'm going to tell you, basically, it's like this. You ever have a bad day? You ever get up and say, oh, shit, I don't want to face this. I got to talk to Ed Roseday on a damn podcast.
Actually, no.
No, you never had that one?
I am I was tortured in prison. I still wanted to get up.
I tell you what, you're an unusual fella, and you are an unusual fella, dude. But let me get back to my point. Sometimes I'm pretty motivated too. I mean,
I know that. That's why I'm glad.
I got a great life, great family, great kids,
great energy,
a lot of problems,
great energy.
Yeah, I wish I had that when I was younger. If I was young, like my son, look, if you get it, basically, if you get up, you're not feeling good. Well, let me go back to not the feeling good, but I get up every morning as a 76-year-old and I play like 200 games of softball a year. That I'm sore every damn morning. Now, I cannot get in that water, and in about 3 hours, I might be all right. But if I get in that water and I stay in there 3 minutes, that's all I stay in 3 months now. I get out of that water, dude, I feel like a 25-year-old. I'm ready to go play softball. Now, 4 hours later, when I return, I need to get it in again.
But question on that. Is it like jumping in a cold shower? I mean, I sometimes get in the water. Bam,
Look,
feel
you
great.
can do the same thing. And sometimes when I'm in a hurry, I'll just do the cold shower. But I've done that for years. They call it contrast, the cold and the hot. If you get into a cold shower and then you do hot, in theory, what's happening, right? When you're cold, your body's rushing blood to you to
warm you up, right? Especially
now
the
when,
armpits
now
and
when
the
you get
groin.
hot, your blood, they want blood to you to cool you down, So it's like the verse, and it'll work. And and even Wim Hof says, go ahead and take that cold shower if you want to take a cold plunge. It costs $5,000 for that little tub, but it's worth every dime.
Oh, you have one?
Oh yeah, I got one right in my back porch.
Now you take this cold plunge. Obviously, as a Coast Guardman and understanding water, hypothermia can set in pretty quick. Can you get hypothermia in that?
Well, I'll tell you a little story on that one. Well, when I first got it, it's like I'd listen to these guys talk about getting in it. So how long can you stay in it? Well, most of the people that come over, including myself, the first time it's like, holy shit, 1 minute, I got to get out. Ooh, I said, but
you can say that. You can say anything you want.
I get to get out of here, man. But then eventually one day I started getting, and here's the deal. I can tell you to this day, I can get in there now. I can tell you when a minute and a half is up from the threshold.
So
of pain.
that's all you stay in there?
No,
right?
wait. No, I'm just saying. I can tell you when it's a minute and a half because my feet are about to drive me crazy. So you got to get past that point of, holy shit, this is cold. I want to get out of here. You get past that, and I used to listen to music to keep my mind off it. But now I'm to the point where I try to use that as my meditation. I can't meditate and you go, all this stuff you got to do.
I love it.
But I can sit in there and fine tune my mind. And what I do in there is I'm saying either, this may sound ridiculous, but I say kill cancer, kill cancer. A positive thought, so to speak, to try to control your mind. But getting back again, you didn't see them on that limb, the squirrel jumping from.
No. You're just like me, so we're good.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so out there.
But we were going to how long I stayed. I stayed in there 10 minutes one time. Okay, and I said, hey man, I stayed there 10 minutes, so it wasn't bad. But I'm sitting there watching TV, maybe an hour or so later. And I tell my wife, I'm cold. Give me some more. I think I was close to hypothermia there. I think my body was reacting to that. I got cold as hell, dude.
In Alaska, when we were in Alaska, we were on a ship, and if you fell overboard, you would die in about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the suits we had and stuff, you would, because we even had regular suits, so you'd get wet. But what happens in those suits is the water gets between you and the thing, and your body heats that water up. That's how wetsuits work. People think you stay dry. No, a layer of water goes between you and the wetsuit.
Oh, really? I never knew that.
Yeah,
myself.
and that's why your body will heat that water. Your body's 98 degrees.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was going to ask you because if you ever notice, you can take you take something hot or cold, and you not handle it. If you keep your foot or your hand on it, your body temperature will adjust to it. And it could stay longer, obviously. But that's the same. Have you ever been in a sweat lodge for Indians?
No.
You guys, you heard of a sweat
I heard
lodge?
about those people that died in that sweat.
Sure, I've been in it. I used to smoke weed in it, but in prison the Indians had that.
Yeah.
But I meant American Indian. I meant Native
now
American.
Be careful.
I know. I'm all fucked
off
up.
of this.
I get canceled every week.
Yeah.
But the Native Americans, they do the sweat lodge, and I've watched many people fall out. But it's a lot of it's here.
What does that really accomplish?
It's supposed to take the impurities out of your system and stuff, and you will go out. And it's the same when you do ayahuasca. Have you ever heard of ayahuasca? Ayahuasca
I have not.
Ayahuasca is a hallucinogenic drug. No, but they're doing a lot of this now for PTSD. Did you know LSD is one of the best treatments and mushrooms is for
really? Well,
PTSD.
CBD helps.
CBD,
it's helped.
We
many,
were
many
sold
people.
a bill of goods by the government.
Oh, that's crazy.
All
man.
governments.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They're sold a bill of goods. What this is. They did a study. You can look at LSD, and I'll send you the study. They took a military unit and put them on LSD, and took another unit, put them not on LSD. They did the same mission. The one on LSD did it twice as fast and over 50% less mistakes
No
on
way.
that thing. The reason they stopped it, and this was in the 60s, is because once you start doing it, you kind of get your own mind and you start questioning things. You know, you look at things a lot.
starting to
Have you ever
question.
done acid?
No,
Have you ever
not.
done acid?
Well, wait a minute. I never did it intentionally, but I was told my softball buddies years ago. A bunch of these young guys that were druggies, they picked me up because
They
I was
put
good.
you in the water.
Dude, they were no, they put it in a drink. They were doing chugging, and you know, I was the old guy when I was still the young guy with these guys. But they challenged me, so yeah, the tournament was over. So I can do that, man. So I did it. About 2 hours later, I was out in the street, and they had to get me out of it. I'd never been. I thought it was from the liquor. It turns out it wasn't the
from
liquor
acid.
because 10 years later, somebody told me what happened. They put, it wasn't LSD. What was the other thing that they put in it? It was
Well, it's microdose. It's a different thing. LSD is it's just a hallucinogenic.
yeah, it was something very. It might have been.
Oh, I know what it was. It was Rufinol.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know. But
they call it roofies.
now, if I'd have found out the next, I'd
Yeah,
have
I'd
beat
kill one of
some
those.
ass. I don't know about killing, but they know how to whip the ass.
Drugs to me, I've done every drug in the book, and I'm not a druggie, and I've tried them. I always wanted to know what you're facing and stuff, and I'm a control freak, just the way I am. I've never ever let a drug ever beat me because I teach. The reason AAA is tough and a lot of people don't win in it, and there's some, and it works for some. If I told you, Dan, you can't do something for the rest of your life and you're 20,
I'm going to want to do it.
you not only are you going to want to
Yeah,
do
that's
it,
right.
not only are you going to want it, it's very unrealistic. If you say you control it don't control you. Meaning the it could be anything. It could be food. It could be drugs, alcohol, sex, any. You control it. Don't let it control you. And that gives you. I do a drill, and I do a drill for a lot of things. I'm a mind guy, and I quit whatever I like. If I drink bourbon. I drink. If I drink bourbon, and I'm not every day. I'm not alcohol, but any far stretch, and I will quit it for 3 weeks. I don't tell anybody. I don't come to you and say, "Hey, Ed, I quit," and it's him or anybody. I do that for myself. And now, if I do that and I say to myself, and we go out one night, I'm at 142, and you see me say, "Let me buy bourbon. Come on, it's a great brand new bourbon." If I say yes, I got a problem because I am letting your pressure or your, not knowing it even, control me, and I will never let that happen. And I do that because it takes you 3 weeks to make a habit, 6 months to kick a habit. If you don't get to the habit, so
Well,
you could control something for 3 weeks. It's very important.
Well,
Try it.
Well, let me add to that. I'm not
Sure.
denying that, but I was a training manager, and a habit, like you say, is very hard to break. But a habit like, you got to place a bad habit with a good habit. The other thing is, if you do something 20 times in a row, that you can correct that habit. I'll give you an example. Like I said, I taught this class, and a lot of things I read, so I read, I teach it to the class. But I said, well, if this is true, I never wore my seatbelt. And my co-trainer got in a car wreck. He didn't have a seatbelt on. I said to myself, well, Ed, you should be wearing your seatbelt. So let me try this out. So I put my seatbelt every time I got in the car, whether I was going across the parking lot to the other Harris plant or whatever, I put it on. And really, to this day, after 20 days, 21, 20 days, I can't go anywhere when I get in that car without putting the seatbelt on.
Wow.
So I know that works, and you're right. But I got a question for you.
Tell you one more.
Okay,
More.
but I got a question for you.
Okay. I
if
took
can remember.
oxycodone pills. You know what oxycodone is? I got my spine crushed. Had 3 major operations. One operation was 11 hours. Imagine 11-hour operation. I'll show you pictures of it. And so they give you oxycodone. Every doctor goes, I go in and says, you can have as much as you want because I went to a pain clinic, and Jackson Memorial is a pain
What's
clinic.
that do to you, the oxycodone?
I'll tell you what. First of all, it's great drug. It made me survive. I was doing 180 milligrams a day for 10 years.
What?
Nobody's ever saw me high. Now listen to this. I ended up as a stubborn, but I needed it. It wasn't like I was doing it. It actually works. Here's what happens with oxycodone pills, and this is why athletes get addicted. When you have inflammation through your body, wherever it is,
Takes it away.
right? It goes through your body. You take a drug. It goes through your body. It attaches to that inflammation, or not only inflammation, it could be the pain of a joint or whatever, and it dulls it. It never puts it away. What happens is if you have a lot of that, before you can get to your endorphins in your brain, it's going to attach to all this stuff, and you won't. When I went to Jackson Memorial Hospital, the guy goes, "You'll never get high. You'll die before you get high." He goes, "Because it's not getting to your endorphins in your brain because you have so much inflammation, so much pain. They put you under like in a thing, and they can show you where everything's like triggering."
This from the accident or from
Yeah,
you?
from my accident.
Oh, okay.
So what happened was, I as a person now, a couple of friends here, doctors. I hang on a lot of doctors. I said, I like pot. I'm gonna try a little more pot, and for pain. And they go, "That's good pain." He goes, and then I go, "I'm gonna get. I think I'm gonna stop these oxycodone pills." Doctors know me. They can. That I never seen it, but you can't get off them. I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "It's impossible to get off them. You'll have withdrawals and this." I bet I get off them. Almost 3 years now.
You've been off them.
Off them. I not only got off them, I weaned. I went from 180 milligrams, which is 630s a day, boom, to 5 to 3, jumped twice, into 1, cut them in half within 4.5 months. Never with a blink, never with a shot or sweat or a lack of sleep, and I don't miss it. I understand them. They're needed for certain people. Here's what happens with athletes: they'll break their arm, or anybody, a person, they'll break their arm, and they need them. You believe me? They work, and they will. I mean, I hate to see people in pain. I don't think it's a badge of honor. I've been shot. I've been stabbed twice. It's not a badge of honor. And what happens is when you break your arm, they give you pills. But they don't understand and tell you the right way. They'll say, "Oh, take it till the bottle's ended." No, you take it till you can't. You want to get up. I couldn't get up in the morning. Could not get up and brush my teeth. That's how bad my back was. Literally, it was crazy. What happens with athletes? They'll break their arm. They get the pills. Their arm heals, but they keep taking them, and the oxycodone go through your body and look for inflammation, and it doesn't get it. Then it goes to the endorphins in the brain, and that's when addiction hits.
So that's backed up. I mean, that sounds
Backed up.
fascinating.
That's backed
but
up.
look,
Absolutely
here's
backed up.
what's fascinating to me.
Sure.
I watched that movie Dopehead or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
and
Doped. I think it was.
Doped.
Yeah.
Okay. You obviously are a special person because and the way you explained it, it makes sense to me. But you still have a strong will.
Very
and
strong.
that's where I was coming with my question. Did that strong will of yours make you the greatest jewel thief in the country?
That's a good question, Ed. I'm still known as the biggest jewel thief in the United States. You know what it is? That was so wrong. So I never want to make people think that was right what I did.
Well,
and stuff
I'm
like
not
that.
trying to.
No,
say,
I know
but,
you're
but
not.
where
I know
you're
you're
at now is what's important.
You know what it is? Yeah, because we all make choices, and and people can change. I have to tell someone like you'll know this. When the kid's 20, they think they know it all. They
Yeah,
hit 30,
absolutely.
and then they go, "Man, I didn't know shit at 20." They hit 40, and they go, "Damn, I didn't know shit at 30." You hit 50, you go, "Am I ever gonna lose?" I'm 60. I'll be 62. I still am learning every day. I don't know shit.
I got one for you. This is what I told my boys. You know a couple of my boys.
Yes, I do. Nice kid.
I said,
and your granddaughter.
"Oh yeah,
Who's running the place.
Oh yeah, that's one.
I wanted to date her, but I was scared of the grandfather. I was scared of the grandfather.
Yeah, he's a pussycat.
No, no.
But this is what I told him. I said, guys, the older you get, the smarter I'll get.
That's true. That's a good one. Well, I just think, there's one thing I tell people as a guy who I developed, I don't know if you guys noticed, developed the #1 program in the country. I have the highest success rate with keeping kids out of jail. That
was the big thing.
90% success rate in keeping them out, 70% better attitudes. That's by the parents, 43% better school grades, and 31%. And that wasn't done by me. It was done independently by college after I developed the program when I got out.
Yeah.
But what I often tell people is you and I, all of us in this room, we might be smart. We have experience. These kids, you don't think these kids know more about geometry and shit, all that crap than we do? I guarantee they do. But they don't have your experience. And that is what we can give young people. And my program's successful because of the experience. Not many people have been through it.
Oh,
strapped
no,
down
man.
naked,
There's
beaten
an
and
old
tortured and
saying
stuff.
is that
Did you ever read my book? I'll give you a book too.
I started reading some of it. I read, man.
I was a bad guy in the beginning.
Yeah,
That's why.
but listen,
I'll give you a book too.
I gave you one of my books. You didn't read it, so
I got it right here.
Well, yeah, but you didn't read it yet because you just got it.
If I read that quick, I'm going in the Hall of Fame for something.
But listen, what I was saying now, I just thought you missed my thought. But they didn't tell me I was coming on until I guess it was Sunday, and I was coming back from a softball tournament.
Oh, you came back from? I had I had a guest in town this weekend from Sirius XM Radio, the second biggest show on Sirius XM Radio, and he stayed in my RV. We hung out, and did the podcast, did videos, and
Did pot.
podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Podcast, and we did pot too. But do you smoke pot, Ed?
No, sir. I take CBD, but I don't smoke anything.
Have you ever smoked pot?
I have never smoked pot.
Have you ever done any illegal drugs?
I have not, other than when they snuck that stuff in my drink.
Do you drink alcohol?
I haven't drunk. I haven't taken. Well, look,
Ever drank?
I got thrown in jail when I was 18 after a football game for being drunk, and I spent one night in jail, buddy. And you did 12 years. I did one night and said that ain't no place for me.
Good for you, man. At least it worked for you. So you haven't drank since then?
No, I used to drink socially at New Year's Eve, but that's about it, dude. No, I don't really drink. I don't drink beer. And once in a while, I guess we won a state championship or two, and the guys, all my buddies drink beer, dude. No, they all drink beer. And they say, oh, Ed, you got to have a drink. You got to have it. Well, I'll do that for that. But, yeah, I don't drink.
But, you're
I
a
don't like the
testament.
taste of beer.
You're a testament, Ed. Listen, I met you tonight, and I liked you. I was talking to you for a
we
while.
bonded.
We
dude.
bonded,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I love that a person, it doesn't take alcohol. Me either. It doesn't take alcohol to be outwardly.
An
It
idiot.
doesn't take. Who?
To be, when I
To
was
be an idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I was a kid at high school, I was telling Nick over there, your program guy, that in high school, I drank a beer, and all of a sudden I was drunk, so I'd do what, hey, Ed's drunk,
Do anything.
Now
Run him into a
I
wall.
just do it, They just say,
Yeah.
well, here, I got another, I'm an old man. You can do a lot of shit when you're old man.
And get away with it.
Get
George
away with
Carlin said it. Man, it's great being 70. He
Yeah.
goes, I can shit my pants and nobody
Oh,
says anything.
Well,
Then he goes, and you could leave the party anytime you want. Grandpa's tired.
That's probably true, isn't it?
Do you drink, Dan?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing. I often tell people, when we're out, and again, I do things socially, and they'll say, well, I drink, but I won't do a drug. I said, alcohol is a worse drug than most drugs. I mean, that's proven fact. I mean, not only damage to the livers and everything else. If we all recognize that there's a lot of drugs out there that are not good for you, I can go right into sugar.
Or energy drinks.
Energy drinks, sugar, a lot of that kind of stuff. I do intermittent fasting, and I'll do 36 hours. I do more than just 16-8. I'm on one right now. I ate last night. I went to Dijon's
Oh,
Steakhouse.
yeah, over in Melbourne
Steakhouse.
Beach.
I took Nick. He liked that.
That's in Melbourne Beach still, right?
Yeah. I went and had a nice steak last night, and then I won't eat, not tonight, which is 24, until the next morning, which is tomorrow morning. And sometimes if you don't eat, you get a headache.
I'm on fasting too,
Yeah, you said that.
But
How
not-
long do you go?
I just do anywhere from 17 to 18
Yeah,
hours.
that's the window. 16 to 8, they call it, is the one. Because here's why: at 12 hours, your ketosis kicks in, and I'm not research again.
Well, there's so much.
and then
I've been
you
listening.
burn
to,
half a pound an hour.
Don't you
Yeah.
get hungry?
I again, mind over matter, but I did, and matter of fact, I feel so much better when I don't eat, and I'll tell you why. Doing all the research
You're
on
sharper, dude. Just like you're in the
Absolute-
jungle looking for your food.
Yeah,
You're sharp, man.
Absolutely, you are sharper. You're burning the best energy you can. Your fat is already pissed out, shit out all the crap. So when you get fat and you burn your fat, you're burning the most pure energy. You can't eat a steak or anything else and think, oh, I got better energy. You will have more energy. That's why it's a big fallacy. Oh, I need to go strong and eat. If you ever look at proteins and stuff, and I get it, you take runners. they only eat carbs because they burn them. It's in it.
And carbs burn first.
Exactly, Bob. Carbs, but they'll eat spaghetti before a race. Big runners, and but if you take fasting, you are sharper. I feel so much better after tonight, tomorrow. I will feel great. I feel lighter. The crap comes out of your system. It's very good to kick your system off. Your joints feel better. You're sharper, like you said, because think of the forefather. Think of the cavemen when they.
Yeah,
You had
they're
to be the
hunting.
sharpest when you're hungry, and you had to be the strongest and the fastest, and you burned that fat, and that fat is such perfect energy.
Do you not get hungry at some point?
Eventually, I mean, I've gone already 4 days, and not.
I don't know how you
me
do
at
it.
all.
No, I couldn't do 4 days, dude. I mean,
Didn't bother me.
Wow.
I guess
Now,
I
and
could.
again, you start. I stay very busy. I've learned a lot. Listen, I was in the hole for 3 years in prison, in the hole, and when they were
For 3 years.
3 years, when they were beating me in the hole, I had to really, really get into a place in your head that is just you go. You think you're gonna. I've had a rope around my neck. I thought I was gonna commit suicide. I was gonna commit suicide. My friend committed suicide. It's just it's not. Listen, they don't belong using them. They use them for the wrong reasons. But that's when I talk about that show.
Listen to this, though, man. We're talking about fasting, right? How many people in this world are not fasting? They're just freaking hungry because they can't get the food, man.
That's so true.
I mean, we sitting up here discussing this. It's kind of ludicrous to somebody. Maybe
Yeah,
listening.
well, that's true. But I think we could feed the world. It's pretty. I mean, obviously, there's 7 billion people in this world.
We need to feed this country. You see how many people are
Absolutely.
homeless around here? That's like crazy,
That
man.
is just driving me
We're
crazy.
giving all this money all over the place, and you got.
Oh, I believe in that.
Philadelphia,
Charity
my-
starts home.
Yeah, Philadelphia, my hometown.
Philly, Trenton.
Well, I was born in Philly, and I lived in New Jersey.
I robbed a
and-
jewelry store in Philly.
Did you? I don't. But there's some program, and I forget who was telling. I think it was Phil Farmer, a buddy of mine. He was saying that he was watching
know
Netflix or a
that name?
documentary.
And that's that name.
He's
sounds
from
very
around here, so you may
Okay,
know
maybe
him
I know
from around here. But there's a certain street in Philly that they get documentaries on it. It looks like Skid Row. I mean, it is Skid Row in Philly.
Have you been to L.A. lately?
No, I've been to L.A. a couple
you
times
been
in my
there?
life.
Tent City, man.
Dan, I went to L.A. to do a bunch of media. I was on a couple of TV shows, and I will tell you, I would not. I couldn't stand for it. I'd be back in jail because I probably killed 20 people. They have beautiful homes, $1 million homes, and they have a guy puts a tent up right in front of the house. Now, I have compassion. Listen, I have a lot of compassion, but that's not the answer. That is not the answer. You're letting that person sit in front of your house with a tent.
Violating your rights.
Oh,
I mean,
my
you know,
gosh!
I mean,
I'm telling you,
everybody's
I
rights
couldn't
are
believe that
important.
place. I got at it. I said, I hate going there. I'm not a big guy.
A lot of
going
people who live there are fleeing because of that. It's
Yeah,
they're
I'm
sick
going
of
up to
it.
Connecticut next week to do a TV show for VH1, My Crime, and I heard Connecticut.
My crime.
Yeah, it's called a VH1 show. It's called My True Crime.
Oh.
They're doing an hour show on me, and when I go up there, I heard that Connecticut has pockets of that, that kind of stuff. And at what point? Listen, I can get crazy on this show and talk about what. Listen,
Maybe we better go somewhere else.
yeah, maybe I'll be get
Maybe
really
get back on track
canceled.
here.
How is Canada?
It's
I
getting
want to.
bad. It's getting bad. We have the town I'm from is 60,000 population, and I would say the people in homeless people in our area have probably quadrupled, but they're not necessarily from our area. They're shooting them from bigger centers like Toronto. One-way bus tickets to.
Oh, you mean they're doing what? Governor DeSantis sent them over to New Hampshire, didn't he?
Now, what was it? Big Island. I mean,
in Massachusetts, Kennebunkport.
Yeah,
Kennebunkport. He did that. I don't know. There has to be better reasons, and there has to be better ways to handle people. I always help people. My goal, and I always tell people, and I donate, and I do a lot of stuff. No woman, no person should eat cat food in this country. Period. And if I see it, I'll feed her. And I don't want to hear that she had a bad life and she screwed her husband or whatever. Listen, nobody belongs eating cat food. Period. Yeah. When I hear old ladies have to think about cat food or their medication, that just
Well,
drives me crazy.
yeah, but think about this,
For a
Larry.
prosperous country.
Maybe what we ought to do is get back to where we were talking about with the kids, because those people on the street now may have been them kids that
Bingo.
their daddy said, "You ain't no good, son."
Man,
And let me
that
bring up
was a
something.
great. You're
Well,
right. 100%.
Well,
right.
let me bring this back. Dr. Lula Sansi, guy that was the co-author of my book with me, they call him the Doctor of Encouragement. He asked one question in his workshops. He says, "Who was your first encourager?" Think about that. And I did that in a lot of workshops. I did leadership training around the world. Uh, and when I asked that question about who's your first encourager, it is a tough one. Think about it. Who was your first encourager? I mean,
My dad.
your dad.
Yeah, I was close to my dad.
What about you, big boy?
My mother.
Your mother?
Yeah.
Strong mother,
well,
paternal mother.
Yeah, and who outside the family?
Mine was a mobster.
Mobster? What did he say? I mean, them mobsters got skills, dude.
Oh, absolutely. I got a lot of life lessons from them. One business lesson was, and he used it on me, and I use it on my guys now. He said I was doing very well in Fort Lauderdale, making money, robbing, and whatever. And I get a phone call from my boss and says, Dominic wants to see you tomorrow. Okay. This is a Thursday. I go up Friday. That night, I got out. It was a 12 o'clock plane.
I read that in the book. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Man.
And I get up there, and I sit down, play cards, talk. Nothing happens. And I don't ask questions. We go to dinner because we always went to dinner, a whole group of players. This is kind of Goodfellas stuff.
Yeah.
And after we get to dinner, 12 o'clock at night, Dominic hugs me, have a good trip back. And I'm like, I don't say anything. And I'm like, what the hell, what was going on? Didn't say anything. And about, 3-4 months later, I asked Willie, I said, hey, Willie, what's that about? They called me up here. I don't know what's going on. Because usually if they call me up, I'm going to do some work. And you didn't want me to come do work then. He said, you passed a very important test. What do you mean? He goes, you're making a lot of money. You wanted to see where your loyalty lies. Are you too big? Were you going to even say, can I come up Saturday? What time do you? I said nothing. I got on a plane and came. And it's called loyalty or your work ethic or I'm a big believer in two things. Being on time. When I am always on time because I'm actually 15, 20 minutes early like you were. The reason being is when I'm not on time, I'm telling that other person, go fuck yourself, man. Your time don't mean shit. Only my time. That's bullshit. Too many young people, it's I. I love to work. I love to do things.
Do too. I do
You're
too.
right.
Yeah,
And I think it's important. First of all, your word. I went to prison. And you'll know, Dan, you might not know this. The government took $6 million from me, but not my money. Big deal. Trust me, I'm not bitter. I'm not complaining at one bit. Took everything I owned, and I had a 15-month-old daughter and a 7-year-old son. Just turned 7 2 days. I was offered to do 3 years in prison and keep all my money, and I wouldn't do it because they wanted me to rat. And my word means more. And my kids to this day, I lost them. My daughter, I get out, she's 13. We're close. My son, I get out, and he was 18. And when I did all that time, I used to look into that stainless steel piece of mirror and at least know that my word. It's not about me hate. I used to hate. And I don't hate anymore. Anyway, the guards that pissed on my face, I was strapped down naked, beaten, and tortured. And it's all documented by the FBI. And it took me 5 years, maybe more, before I set out. I was planning their murders, literally planning their murders. I have forgiven them. I'm not a religious person. I am a spiritual person. But the hate was killing me. The more you hate something, the more you do, it consumes you, and you have to let it go. You have to. And here's how I justify that. I go, these people who did that to me, they must have the worst life in the world. They must go home and their wife beats the shit out of them and they don't get whatever the hell it is. Because why would you treat another human being like that? And but my word, it's all about. I believe your word is the most. I lived on memories and word.
We're from a different generation because I'm the same way. Your words, your bond.
Bingo.
I deal with people. I do a lot of leases with people, and some of the people that I mean, I couldn't do a deal on a handshake. There's one guy I have. I do.
I
on
do
a
that. I do
handshake,
that.
But there's another guy that I have. He's lied to me so many times that I mean, and it was funny. These two are interacting, and the one guy says, "Well, you can trust me," and he says, "Look, I can trust that guy over there, but I can't trust you. It's I want you to sign it. You know what I mean?" And that
Yeah.
it's just the way it is. People's words don't really mean.
I grew up in the mob business, so your word.
Well, that's the thing you learn.
Your word.
Hey,
That's
well,
another
the thing you're supposed to learn. And I mean,
Absolutely.
that's. I mean, yeah, the mob's the mob. They do it, but you look, there's all
The
this.
government's the mob. Let me get on that
yeah,
one. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, we want to go there,
I
man,
wanna go
because
there.
that'll upset me. Let's stay in a good
Me
mood.
too. I'm with you.
Let's get back to them
You and I
kids.
better stay here. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we're going to be drinking
Yeah.
and getting hotter and hotter. No.
Yeah, I don't need to drink to get hot at them. I'll tell
Oh,
you. But,
me either.
But yeah, the kids are.
I have a couple of questions for you now. I got
Okay.
a couple of questions. So you grew up as a rough kid, tough kid. You were adopted.
I was
You didn't know
adopted.
that. Now, when you were
2 weeks.
adopted, did you know?
No, I never found out until about 5 years ago through.
Wow,
Yeah,
ancestry and stuff. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Got a match of a lady that there's no way she could have been anything but a sister. Turns out she was. I learned about my mother. She had died. And I always thought, well, damn, man, I probably got the bad lottery here because, my other parents may have been really rich.
Do you know when I did ancestry? You know who I knew this because I've been in the game. You're Canadian. Boom Boom Joffrion's my mother's cousin.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean we used to. You know who he is,
Good
right?
bloodlines, absolutely. He's a
Bernie
legend,
Joffrion,
man.
yeah, and
That's a big guy.
hockey player, great
Hockey
hockey.
player.
I used to go to. When he was coaching the Flames, we were kids.
Uh,
My grandfather actually taught him how to play hockey.
Wow.
He told us that. Boom Boom. Well,
Wow.
Bernie, I think
Yeah.
he just died. But he's my mother. He's about a year. Well, my mother's 90, so he was a couple of years younger than my mother. But so you went and you were adopted, and you didn't know it.
No.
But you
Well,
were a
it's my-
tough.
my-
But you were a
my-
tough kid. I want you to
Okay.
go like when you say tough. Why? Do you ever look back? I was
Well, I don't
abused
know how
at
tough
11.
I was. Let me
No,
tell
I
you.
didn't mean tough. Meaning, okay,
I was a fighter, dude.
Right.
But you know why I was a fighter? Because I have.
you grew up poor.
Well, I grew up poor, and when I lived in the rural area in Browns Mills, it was everything was great. We had fights, but the only deal there was that I'd fight one kid. He had 2 brothers, so I got to fight them too. I always said, "Why the hell can't I have some brothers?"
Yeah.
So I made sure we had 3 sons, and that was never a problem in our family.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but when I moved to Trenton, New Jersey, I ran in gangs. I mean, it was the blacks and the whites. I went to a school. There was only 3 white kids, and obviously I was one of them. That was an experience that molded me. But there's one thing I learned, principles of life too, right? I was in a white gang, and I realized real quick that I want to be buddies with the leader of this gang, and I was. So I didn't get beat up too much. But they would grab me. I don't know if you had this experience, but the big guys. Now we had our gangs, but we had other big teenagers running around. And one of them would grab you, and they play drums on your chest, and they beat your chest. And if you cry, whine, dude, they're gonna keep on doing it. So you guys just take it, dude. And then when I got in a fight, I had this rage. It was like utter. I look like a madman when I get mad. I mean, my veins pop out, and it's scary. It's like, but I went to what was it, New Zealand? We went to tribes. And the way the tribes met each other when they meet, the chiefs, the leader there, would go up there and give the scariest face and
Talking to you.
and do these motions. It was like
What you did.
It was like, but in a different way. I may not win, but dude, you're going to
You
get
know
hurt.
you're in a
You mess
fight.
with that kid.
know-
So you protect yourself 2 ways. You get in tight with the leader, and think about the corporate world. If you're going to be successful in the corporate world, hitch your wagon to the guy that's gone up. But be careful, you hitch your wagon to the right guy, because the guy that's gone up, you're going with him. He gets fired, you go with him.
No, I look at. Listen, I believe that like I was when I was young, I was a small guy, and I used to hang out with the
I wasn't
older
big
kids.
either.
And I was crazy. I stabbed my brother with scissors. I smashed him with a 2x4 and split his head off. I did what I had
I
to
had
do.
no brother. So.
You know, I had to do what I did.
No,
you know?
you're right, man. I hear
And we
that.
grew up poor like that. He said we had 5 brothers and sisters, and we lived in a 2-bedroom bungalow. My dad built bedrooms in the attic. We had 1 bathroom the size of that closet for 5 kids. All these young
I
people
had no
today.
closet.
Oh, I need 2 bath. Oh, we don't have enough bathrooms. Are you fucking kidding me? Go outside, piss in the fucking snow. You know, I mean, that's just. I'm not complaining. Listen, I remember playing basketball in slippers because my shoes got wore out, and we didn't have money to get me shoes yet.
But you don't know you're poor, right? I mean,
No,
you
we're
don't know
poor.
you're
We
poor.
loved it, man. You know, we first of all, when we all, even you, we all grew up. There was no cable and this.
Well,
there
he's
was
a lot
no
younger,
phones.
dude. Now.
Now he's 50. He's only 10
You
years
had 3
younger than me.
channels on TV, man.
Right.
You had
Is that
to get
all?
up your ass and click, click, click. That
You
was
know, I
it.
often tell that. You know,
Oh, you didn't have a remote?
you
No,
know,
it
you
didn't
know,
come till later, and it was plugged into the TV.
yeah. Do you know the first remote? My father hit me in the head. Said, change the channel.
Go change the channel. That's a good one.
But Ed, can we get back? So
Yeah, sure, yeah.
you end up
Well, I
being
end up,
a troubled kid
Mhm.
because we talked a little bit,
Yeah.
and then your parents send you to the Florida Air Academy.
yeah, well, there's a little interim in there. I got in a little trouble. The judge said this kid's,
He's
he
a
could-
delinquent.
He could be dangerous, and we're going to send him to reform school, and until you get him into military school, he's going to stay there. So I did like, I don't know, a couple of months in reform school, and they finally found the Air Academy to send me to, and that's where I went.
So you went from Jersey to the Air Academy. Wow,
Yeah.
what? Your parents had money
No, they had
because
no
they could have
money.
never sent us there.
My
man.
father died, so there was some money coming in from Social Security. The fee for that school was like $1,700, which doesn't seem like a
a
lot,
lot back then.
but yeah, it's now 50 or 60 grand.
Is that
and-
what
and-
it is?
and-
I thought they closed. No, Are
No,
they
the
back open?
Chinese bought them. But see, I used to baby. Well, I
Them,
used
them and TikTok.
I told I told you, and I didn't tell the audience this story, but I became really close with the president, who was from the owner, president, who was from Jersey, and he slapped me around one time, and I never told anybody. And, you know, I was used to that, you know. So I became his guy, and I turned into a pretty good athlete.
Was he your first mentor or first?
Oh,
Remember you said advisor.
he was my mentor. He told me.
Is he the first guy that? Remember you asked us?
Oh
that
yeah,
question?
about encourager. Well, I think it was my 4th grade teacher. I got straight Fs, and she said, "Son, you're a lot smarter than that." And I never took advantage, but I still remember Mrs. Clark. She's dead now, but I think now that you brought it up, Colonel Dwight was he was the guy who was in my corner. I mean, he changed my life. He used to tell me, Ed, you know, life is a little bit like a cafeteria line. You get anything you want, but you got to get up and get it. Think about
You said that in your book.
Yeah,
I read.
You did
yeah.
read that book. Yeah,
I read some experts.
But listen, you know, that's
Good because you sent it in a piece of paper, and I didn't want to print out 167
Oh, I sent it on email.
paper.
I emailed it to you.
Yes.
Oh, well,
167
I gave
pages.
Sam-
I'm not gonna print it.
I gave Sammy the. I should have. Yeah, my
That's
bad.
okay.
dude,
That's
but
okay.
it's-
So when you get there, you get to the Air Academy. What's your next? Do you go to college from there? No, I know your story.
Well,
I
there's-
want you
okay.
to.
Did I go from college from there? You know, I had scholarship to go play at. I think it was Lincoln Memorial for.
Softball.
No, not softball, dude. I was a good football player and I was a good baseball player. The coach thought I should make the pros, but I think he was overdoing it a little. But
Said you lettered in basketball, football,
yeah, I was
baseball. Wow, you were
yeah,
a hell of an
I was
athlete.
good. You know, but remember this now: we were all segregated. There's no black kids. You know,
Oh.
it was so. You know, I was like the leading rebounder as a JV, right?
At
And-
5'10".
Yeah, 5'10", dude. You know, I could block out good, but there was no black kids playing. So, yeah, that was funny. But no, the reason I came back here, I told you I left home at 18 with $10 in my pocket, not knowing where I was going. Well, I knew where I was going. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do to get there, other than I wanted to get back with my wife. It wasn't my wife now; it was my girlfriend.
So you turned down scholarships, you turned down sports in schools to stay with your wife. And how long are you married now?
56 years, I think.
56 years. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
pretty good.
Pretty-
Congratulations.
Yeah.
My parents were married 50-something before my dad died. But so you had no, man, he's kind of like we were. I left
Well,
home at 17,
Well, it's really.
and I went in the military.
Yeah, well, you know, I tell you what, you either go to military school, But you know, people have their dream, right? The only dream I had was getting back with my wife or with my girlfriend.
Really? So have you? I won't ask that online. So is that been your love of your life for your whole life?
Absolutely.
Wow, that's.
Yeah.
And are you married, Dan?
Second marriage.
Second marriage. I've been married 3 times, twice.
Yeah, well,
Twice in.
I think my wife is, you know, I was going to tell a joke here, but better not.
Go ahead.
No, it don't work when you say I'm going to tell a joke. But yeah, it wasn't. You know, it was not easy for her. She's a tremendous. I mean, she's a great mother. You know, she was to me, she was the most beautiful woman in this town. She was really good looking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
You know, I used to. You know, now we broke up 1,000 times in high school.
Of course you
And
did.
the guys, you know, want to date her. I said, "You got my girlfriend. I'm gonna whip your ass." So you.
Plus,
can take
you're
your life.
the athlete and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
See,
yeah,
we were
well,
running the streets. I was a very good athlete as well.
Well, look,
Boxed and stuff like that.
I'd have been running the streets if I hadn't come down here. That's like you know, people say when one door closes, another one opens. That, you know, a bad thing happens in your life. You think it's bad, which I did. I went to reform school and I came down to military. So you think I liked it? Hell no. That changed my life. You don't know what's going to change your life. Look at you. I mean, you come
absolutely.
out. I don't know how that happened, but that transformation didn't go like that. It was gradual, right? And you thought it was bad. It turns out to be good. Look where you are now.
Well, you know, a lot of people say what would happen. I think I don't regret things in life. Things happen for reasons, and I think they shape you. When I got out of prison, how I started everything is I had a friend come up to me and say to me, "Hey, I need a favor, Larry." What? I'll fucking break your leg. Fuck you. I thought he wanted me to go collect from somebody or something. I got out of prison. Leave me the fuck alone. He goes, no,
Larry.
no. He goes, no. He goes, no. He goes, I caught my 16-year-old smoking weed. And he told me, fuck you, Dad. Where have you been? I said, your son told you that? He was a golf pro. I said, I'll talk to you, kid. Don't know why. I had pictures of me with kids who were dead, the kid who got his anus cut. I got pictures with mobsters and bikers. I put the pictures together. I walk to his house. I go to his house. I just out of prison. And I looked like a psychopath. I mean, and I get out of prison and I see him. He's at a gazebo in his house and in the backyard. And I go, where's your kid? He goes, I appreciate this. I don't know about it. He goes, I walk in. The kid's a big kid, but I'm a pretty big guy. And I said to him, you told your father where the fuck you been? The 2 curse words I ever used. I'm going to show you where the fuck I just came from. I sat down. I started showing pictures, telling stories. That's how I developed the program.
That's where you're going.
And I ended up not knowing this even. Not knowing this.
Yeah.
And the kid, you could see the kid's wheels turning. And I said, okay, now, when I left, I said to him, listen, I don't give a fuck what you do, kid. Go ahead. You can just go see one of my friends in the joint. Dad calls me. First of all, Dad gives me $100. I had no money. And he goes, can I give you a number out? I said, sure. And people started calling me, but he calls me 2 weeks later to Dad. Maybe 10 days later, he goes, Larry, I don't care, because I got a law degree. See it up there?
You have a law degree?
Yeah, right on the wall.
You got that from prison?
Yep.
Look at that,
Cool,
man.
man.
See, like
Yeah.
one
And you're going to see 2
bad
things
thing
up there.
turns out to be a good
You're
thing.
going to see, I'm the only ex-con in the United States who's a police officer, honorary police officer.
How do you get a law degree with being were you a felon?
Yeah. But I can't get a law license. I can't pass the bar. I can't
Oh,
take the
you
bar.
can't.
I have
Oh,
the
okay.
credits. I'm the
Makes
only
sense.
ex-con in the United States who's an honorary police officer out of St. Louis, Lake St. Louis, Missouri. The other one, I marched. That's
Whose
a
phone is that?
That's a Canadian ring.
Yeah,
It's
no,
his.
it's my phone.
Oh, it's yours. Then I marched for President Reagan in his inaugural parade. So on the same wall, I got 1 million subscribers. Only 17,000 people have that in the world. And
A
they
million subscribers that only 17,000.
17,000 have that. Well,
Wow.
when I got it, it was that.
Dude,
Maybe
I'm
there's
on this
20,000
show,
now.
man.
And then the other's my termination probation. And I'm the only ex-con in the United States who's recognized on the floor of the United States Congress up in Washington. And they're more criminal than me, so that's what
I was going to say, there's
I'm
probably a
not-
lot
I'm
of
not-
damn,
I'm not- I don't
there's a
even
lot
say
of criminals to be in there.
Hey, Ed, you notice I don't have that one on the wall? But no, I just, I look at things that change. People
Nah,
can
dude,
change.
that's a hell of a story.
And I just, I don't give up on people, man. I seen the worst of the worst. There's people listen. I often tell this. When I was in prison, we had in one prison we had 2,000 people. 880 had life. That means letters.
800 people.
880
out of 2,000.
out of 2,000. That's a maximum security prison.
That's a dangerous prison.
Oh, it was very dangerous. Then 200 of them fight their case legally. 400 find a lover, live their life, and 200 are psychopaths. Those people, I don't want to see them get out of prison because they're going to kill somebody. They're going to do. They're psychopaths. They're literally psychopaths.
There's essentially no rehabilitation.
Not for those. I mean, and I hate saying that, but I still think you should treat people. We're not animals, but I don't want them getting out and living next to you, and because they have a bad day, they're going to go kill somebody. I mean, and that's just the way they are.
What do you think that is? Is that because they haven't? Well, they have nothing to lose. That's a dangerous person.
That's dangerous person. And when I went to prison, when I stabbed a couple people, and when you don't think you're going to get out and you got a survival, so it's a survival mode. Sadly, the United States has zero rehabilitation. It's one of the worst countries in the world.
Other countries really rehabilitate.
Oh my God! You could go to Norway, Sweden. Okay, we'll do it now, and then we'll be done when you get back. Yeah.
How did they do?
Oh
that?
yeah, thank you. Yeah, both of them. Yes, thank you.
How do they rehabilitate them? I don't get it.
Well, they have first of all, in Norway, Germany, there's great documentaries on them. Unbelievable. I know the guy he's the host of the show, The World's Worst Prisons. His name's
I started to watch that.
Yeah, Raphael Rowe. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah,
and he did 12 years, and he was innocent.
Well, isn't it Mike Rowe? Is he related?
Raphael Rowe.
But he's not related to Mike Rowe. Who does
dirty jobs? No, that's pretty cool. But no, I want to get back to forget my life.
Okay.
I want to get a little bit. So you, Ed, become a successful man. How do you get into Harris? I mean, Harris is a big corporation. Let everybody know they're a space industry company, one of the big ones.
Well, let me tell you this: you never get where I got without people's help. Okay.
Everybody needs help.
First of all, my mother-in-law was my savior. I'm hitchhiking across, and when I got to Florida, I don't have a plan. I would never go anywhere now without a plan. I don't have a plan. I'm hitchhiking one day across the Melbourne Causeway, and this nice-looking blonde lady picks me up. It's my future mother-in-law. She talks to me, and we got along real good. She come over for dinner. Oh, I thought you'd never ask. So I go there for dinner, and my wife's away to college. She says, here's my story. Says, you need to move in with us. Wow. Okay. So I move in with her. And
where were you living at that time? Nowhere?
No, I was shacking up over on the beach with one of my buddies who had a $1 million house on the beach. He was very rich, but I was just,
not a bad place to shack up. Maybe I'm in the hood and he's over. He's
well,
in Lansing Island.
It was like by that time, in Jersey when my mother remarried, she remarried a plumber, and he had a little bit of wherewithal. He had a bunch of property in the house, so she moved up the ladder, kind of, so to speak.
So let's. I'm gonna move you along.
Okay.
Because you go and the lady brings you in, future mother-in-law.
Yeah. So I go back. Florida Air says you need to come back here and play on our sports team, or you're gonna have to repeat that year. And so obviously I did that, and everything went well. And
did you have good enough grades to go to college?
Oh yeah, dude. I was a B+ student. I was an officer. I was in line to be a squadron commander in my junior year, but I made one of those wrong decisions that kids do. I was a duty officer one night in summer. I had to work during the summer. I worked they didn't just say, hey, here's a scholarship. They said, here, you can work and we'll pay you away. My parents never paid after the first year.
Wow.
Because we didn't have the money. But, I was on a work scholarship, and I worked through the summer. I stayed there all the time. But this one summer, a couple of my buddies came back, and they said, hey, man, let's go out. And so I took the guy that was in line to be the squadron commander behind me, and he was the duty officer, and I said, with me. And I said, hey, watch us. We're going to go out the window, cover for me. But listen, so we go out, and we're throwing cherry bombs, at people. And so we had one left.
These are our future officers.
Well, I still making them bad choices, because we stopped at this laundromat up here in Melbourne, and we went in there. I went in where a buddy of mine, Freddie Cheshire's passed, but he was a nut. He was crazy. But we went in there, and my stepfather was a plumber, and I knew about putting a cherry bomb down the toilet. You could, but I told him not to flush it. Okay, but we get in this bathroom, and we drop the cherry bomb, and
He flushes it.
he flushes it, and the dummy locked the door. To this day, I can close my eyes, and I can see I'm at the door, turned around, and the toilet exploding, coming out like a hand grenade or whatever, a bomb. The toilet piece was coming out. I can see it, almost now, but it's coming out. And so this is the funny part. So we run out, and we're run out. We get in the car. He's in the back seat. I'm in the front seat. He says, "Man, guys," he says, I think I'm bleeding. This is what I say to him. "I hope you bleed to death, you dumb whatever." So we get back in, and the window we came out of is locked. The guy had turned us in. But it doesn't matter anyhow because Freddie's bleeding like and so
Yeah.
they go to the hospital, and guess who's there?
The commander.
No, the police. The commander's the one taking him to the hospital.
Oh, okay.
There's blood
Yeah,
all
yeah,
over
yeah,
the
yeah.
floor. There's blood all over the floor. So what's he do? They
Goes
go
on.
to the hospital. So they put us in lockup that night.
Oh.
We called my rich buddy.
What year about was this?
That was when I was actually
70?
No, 1960, dude. 1960.
46, you're 15,
Might have been
16.
No, I was 18, dude. That was the problem. About 17.
46,
It was
56,
look.
66, 60.
No, it can't be 66. Well,
You were
wait a
born
minute.
in 46.
I graduated in 65, so it was 64 maybe.
Okay, yeah.
64, my bad. Yeah, 64. So that
I'm still in diapers.
but 18 was a problem. But we got the school was going to try to massage it over because it was a local. I mean, this town was like a one-horse pony.
Oh, yeah.
town.
My parents came here in 84,
Well,
83.
can imagine in 60s, man.
15,000 people.
You remember? In the 60s, we still had colored bathrooms and colored
Yeah, oh, yeah,
water
yeah,
fountains
sure.
and stuff. And you could call the. I mean, I remember even in the 70s, I got a speeding ticket, and my wife's stepfather was friends with the police chief, and say, "Hey, look, my wife's
And he ripped it up.
yeah, they ripped it up. But we got out on bail because my buddy's mother had a lot of money. She bailed us out, and the school was pissed because they were going to try to hide it. Once you get bailed out, you can't hide nothing. So that stayed on my record, which was almost a tough time to get my job. But let me get back to where we were again, that squirrel thing. But neighbor of my mother-in-law worked at North American Rocco, and he was the head of HR. So he got me in there. The only stumbling block was the fact it took him about 3 or 4 hours to figure out that we're going to hire a guy that blew up a commode.
Hey, kid.
But it took me a while to get my.
And how old were you at this time?
I was 19 when I got.
So when you got a job at Harris, you were 19?
No, I was in North American Rockwell at Cape.
Oh, Rockwell.
I worked at the Cape for 8 years.
Oh,
But
okay.
this is and shorten that up a little bit is that I worked there for 8 years, then I got out of there, and I got a job.
What did you do there?
Well, hold on. Well, before let me go to this to finish this point because it's important about how people help you. You take a kid that you're going to help, and I'm going to get to the point where I help people, and when you see what I've done to return that. But when I got out of there, I had coached football for 8 years. A lot of young boys around here. There's still hundreds of boys I've coached. For 25 years, I coached them. But when I got laid off, then one of the boys I coached was a Drake boy. I coached 2 of them.
What is a Drake boy?
Well, I meant his name was Drake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mr. Drake.
This is
Mr.
Drake boy.
Yeah. Sorry, that's right.
It's all right.
I'm trying to be short, and I better be a little more specific. But he quarterbacked for me. His father was he knew I needed a job. He said so. I went interviewed, and I ended up getting a job based on his recommendation. And I had a choice of actually 3 jobs, and I took this job as a supervisor in the semiconductor industry. And went there, and I stayed there for 28 years and went through it. But I probably hired over 300 or 400 people because I was in a position of power. And I'll give you one example. Joey Jennings. I just went to a funeral, and he happened to be there. And came up to me. He says, "Man, I really got to thank you for what you've done." You know, and I said, "All I did was get you the job." So what he did was he went through as a manufacturer, a test guy on the test floor. He's now making about $250,000 as a director. He got his engineering degree, and he got it. You help them. You can help these kids, but they got to do it themselves.
You know, I always say this, you know, everybody, myself, people, I had friends, they'll open the door or give you a hand, but you got to go through it and knock it out of the park.
Yes, sir.
You
Really,
can't
buddy.
let them do it for you.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
that's the drive, that's the ambition, that's the brains, that's the I got a kid. This kid is very good here. This young man.
Nick looks like he's a champ, dude.
Very good. He come from St. Louis. Had tell us a quick story. He might not hear it, but he had, you know, him and his girl came from St. Louis area, and I met them at a bar, and no money, but no, yeah, he was working. He was did tiles, and he's very hard. We could tell he's a hard worker. Everything else. They moved in with a friend. The friend was crazy or whatever it is. They had to move. They put every dime that they had, they put into this house that they rented. So hard for young people today. It really is. So, of course, I go to his house one day, and I had my RV actually because he even drives that now. And I look in and they're sleeping on the floor. Nothing.
He's sleeping on the floor.
Listen, they were sleeping on the floor. No complaints. Nothing. I go in and, you know, my heart is always there. And I go back to the RV. I gave him my coffee machine. I gave him a blow-up bat. Everything out of my RV I could get. And they were so thankful. Then I did something better. I have a lot of connections. And I put something on our group thing. We furnished this house. It's furnished. Whole house.
Wow.
Sam helped. Everybody.
Sammy, he's a good man.
Yes.
Sammy. I wish you'd hear.
What I'm saying, everybody. You know,
Yeah.
my whole group I put something up. I said, hey, listen, it's Christmas. This is just Christmas time, and this is blah blah blah. And
This Christmas.
yeah, and they stood up. Now these kids are hard. Comes, doesn't complain. Rare do you see that ever. You know, never complain. Never. Smart. He didn't even ask for anything. Is what I mean. They're so grateful. They were crying when they got. Sammy goes, these people are right. He goes, they were crying when he gave them some furniture and stuff. I mean, you know, they appreciate it. You know, it's rare that you get young people like that today. Most of them want it. They deserve it. Oh, fuck yourself.
You know, you're talking about how you and I, and there's a story I'd like to tell at this point.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you know, I have my own federal charity called the Florida Senior Sports Association.
Oh no, we have one, Reality Check Foundation, the 501c3.
And what I've done is, you know, it really was in context with my softball. But we started taking equipment. We've taken over 40,000 pieces of equipment.
Good for you.
Dominican Republic. But here's the story. I started a program to pay back. You heard my story about Florida Air Academy.
Yeah.
Well, I started with one young man called Brian Pena, and I brought him over here, put him in Florida Air. Now that school's 50, 60 grand a year. I didn't have to pay all that. I paid about half of it, 30.
Wow.
Okay, and
Good for you.
because he was a baseball player. But now this is going to lead into exactly what you said there, and then I ended up after a year, or when he started to graduate, or when he was graduating, his brother came over. I felt bad by separating the brothers. Okay, and so long story short, we bring him over here, and I get Brian an extra year. And both of these guys are pretty good baseball players. And one of them, his younger brother, you know, we thought was going to be a major leaguer. But we put him through Florida Air Academy. That's my way of paying back to the school. And then we put them through college. And Brian graduated from St. Leo College just last May. And Jeffrey graduated D1 from UCF. And he was the number one hitter on his team and number 2 in the conference. And now they work for my son Scott in Orlando, who owns an insurance company and are insurance salesman.
Wow, good for them.
So you talk about paying back and giving back. That's what it's all about. And in my book, the resourcefulness is forming that network. You got to have that network.
100%.
And your network is huge now, right? You got
Yeah.
you got not only bad guys that are, readjusted. You got all these judges and lawyers
tons
and
of 'em.
doctors
And they know if I ask Ed, I don't. It's for a reason. I mean, and I love when they. Like I take Nick. I took Nick to Daytona 500. And
he's living the dream right now, dude.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. Just maybe.
Sure. No.
What's your birthday?
October.
I thought
I'm a Libra.
That's my wife. She's a
I'm a
Libra.
Libra.
October what?
3rd.
She's 16th. I thought you might be a Gemini. We get along so well. I thought we might.
Absolutely.
Be
You know what it is? We think
you.
alike.
Yeah.
We think
Yeah.
alike. And I always looked at this.
Is that the criminal part, or
yeah? I think the
or
criminal
the charity part.
Well, charity is. I'm a big charity person.
I am too, buddy.
Listen, when you didn't have and then you have.
Yeah.
Listen, I gave millions away when I was robbing it. I was a Robin Hood, if you want to call
it.
that.
It's easy to give it away when you didn't earn it.
Yeah, no, it's even it's harder.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And when you earn it, you feel bad.
Oh,
but
you feel better, but
I almost call it greedy because I feel so good when I help people, and it's a greed. I stop at toll booths. I have easy passes and all that, but I'll take it down. I'll go to the booth and say to the lady, "How's your day going? I really hope you're having a." I've had a lady look at me and goes, "Thank you. I was having a terrible day." And I was telling her how I appreciate her. I take my mom. My mom used to go shopping, not anymore. She can't. She has no walker. I take her right here to Winn-Dixie. And I used to wait, let her go, let her get her exercise with her cart. And I'd sit out front. And I don't know how many, I don't even like telling. I know this is the first time I'm telling it. People would come and you'd see a person put food back in. They didn't have the money for the food.
Yeah, money, huh?
Not money. I'd go up and I never make them feel bad, ever. I'd go up and say, "Wow, I just got lucky." I said, "Let me pay his bill." I've had the lady crying, and they know me then, and it'd be $60, $70. And someone goes, but he had a 6-pack of beer. Good. He needs a fucking 6-pack of beer. No, he's not putting it back. He's fucking drinking that beer, and good for him. I had so many beer, and I like to give like that, like you're doing with that person. I'm not a big UNICEF and all that bullshit. I'm sorry.
Well, you know where it's going.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think there's good things, but
let me add to this. Okay, my 2 boys, Brian and Jeffrey, like my sons now, and they're in the family like they're my sons. Okay, but you know what we did with them on Christmas? Now, my wife and I used to do this all the time, but at Christmas time, I give them, $300 or $400 bills. Okay, I said we're going to go into.
Good, I know
like
love it.
I forget, what's that store? What one of those real cheap stores? And you go. I told them
the Dollar General or something.
Yeah. But
whatever.
Yeah, okay. I forget. All of a sudden, I get brain fog.
Kmart.
No, it wasn't Kmart. It's one of the ones that like a cheap store. I forget what they call it, thrift shop. I don't know, but it's right there on Wickham Road. Near my house, but that's
like a Goodwill.
That's not
Industries
important.
Yeah,
no. But I tell them to go around and look for a person that's having a hard time buying something, and I want you to go walk up to him and say, give them the $100 bill, and say Merry Christmas, and walk away.
Yes.
Walk away.
Yes.
And dude, they get so much because it invigorated me when I did it. I mean,
I love it. I do it to this day.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing. You never have a greater feeling. Walk away. They don't know who the hell you are, and never see them again. I never seen it.
You just I call it blessing somebody, or you're putting positive energy, positive people. We all are lucky. I talk to
no matter what happens to us.
I grew up poor, but my parents made sure I could read, and I was and I had a roof over my head and food most time. Not much food sometimes, but And you look at that, and there's, like you said earlier, there's so many people that don't go to bed hungry. What Sam
to this day,
what
even
Sam,
in this country,
what Sam and why I get along with Sam and works with me and all is because he started that Hunger Foundation, and
I never knew that.
You didn't know that?
I did not know.
I love that.
What's the Hunger Foundation?
Sam started.
I know a bunch of guys
in his living room.
Uh-huh.
Now, 10 years ago, him, JY, a couple of friends I know even, they got together and they fed 35 kids
kids.
that did from school, 35 kids that they fed them on weekends, because they had no food at home.
There's a whole foundation that's down on that.
He did
It's
that.
just doing
He
it
started it.
Oh, he
They
started.
feed 3,900
That must be the
kids.
people up when I was up at Vieira.
Yeah,
And the lady that's his foundation.
That's his
I never
foundation.
knew that.
Sam started that with JY and a
gotta
guy named
talk to
Bob.
Bob.
Ask him, a guy named Bob. You know Bob. He was at the event that night.
Yeah, well,
I
I forget everybody.
now what they do, they call it the backpack program. They put the food in the
That's
back.
it. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I remember-
That's Sam's.
Yeah.
That
Remember-
is
remember
Sam's.
That lady that talked when we were up there. Remember the lady that was talking about? She was talking about that, wasn't she?
Ed,
Yeah.
that's what they do is they don't even embarrass them. They put the food in a backpack. They can switch the backpack.
But who would believe that? I mean, we're in this. That
Sam started that.
That
Sam,
Vieira area.
yeah.
It's one of the richest in the country.
Absolutely.
And we got kids around here not being able to
Listen,
eat.
go down to Satellite Beach. Same thing. Go down to certain Melbourne Beach.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a haves and have-nots, and that's just normal. And
But the kids not to have food on the weekend is terrible.
right.
I mean,
And is that great what they did?
It is.
39, and here's how they do it.
It is.
They're in, I think, 30 schools, and they let the teachers pick. The principal picks who's the kids
who's
they
the
know
kid.
who don't have money or don't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
food.
That's powerful. Man.
But
Is that powerful, man?
But
I'm telling you, that's why Sam, I love him for that.
I'm not sure. Sam spent a lot of time at my house.
I know he talks very good about
I'm
you.
not sure I'm not sure. I mean, he wasn't like in an upper status in his life. He was,
No. Sam was like all of us.
yeah.
Like
He
someone-
grew up. He grew up not struggling because
He's a hustler.
Yeah, he was a hell of a football player too.
Yeah, he's a hustler.
Yeah. He's definitely him and my oldest son are on the same plane. I think. Eddie and him.
Yeah, we
I
think,
think they
yeah.
went to school together. But,
Yes, the one at the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think if you can't do that, where's your empathy? Where's your
It's giving back, dude. I mean, if
love
you
it,
get there,
man.
turn around and look. I'm not the richest person in the world, but
me either.
I live a comfortable life.
Listen, I
and-
moved back from $1 million condo to here.
Yeah, well, look, man.
And I love it.
Doing
I
what
love
you do
it.
for your mother is like a special person in my mind.
I love it.
Well, my
she's-
mother-in-law. Let me get to this because this is beautiful. It may make me cry. So
You're making me cry, you prick.
Look,
I do. I get
dude.
such a
I'm
fucking heart.
every time I talk about my mother-in-law, I get a little teary. But she picked me up, right?
Get a little water.
But
I love it. Don't feel bad, man.
she went, she got Alzheimer's. And
Dad died of Alzheimer's.
yeah, but she lived with us. We brought her in. She lived with us until she couldn't live there anymore. See, wow, this is crazy. But she never forgot my name.
Wow.
She said, "I'll never forget you."
And she didn't.
No, she didn't.
With Alzheimer's.
Dementia, Alzheimer's. I don't know how you classify it, but yeah. And I was with her in her last breath.
I was with my dad. My dad died of Alzheimer's. And, very close with my dad.
It's the worst disease ever.
Oh,
I can't talk about her without.
I'm changing his diapers. And, I blame myself, of course, because it was me who went away to prison, made choices that put me in
Yeah.
prison, and I lost the best years.
But-
My dad visited me in
Did
every
he
prison
really?
and wrote me twice a week. Every week.
And I can relate to that, and that's one hard thing to do. That's a special father right there. But listen,
That's where
man,
I get
getting
my
back
heart
to
from.
you. What you're doing for your mother is, it's.
Thank you.
You
But
could be doing a lot of other
I
things.
know, and
taking care of your
traveling
mother,
to
man.
New York. I mean,
with your
like-
badass demeanor, and you're taking care of your mother. But that's the mob, man. They take care of their family.
My mom never judged me. They don't like what I did, of course. I grew up. We had 5 brothers and sisters. My mother there lost 2 sisters. I lost 2 sisters already to cancer. She lost 2 grandkids. We lost 2 grandkids.
Cancer?
That was the streets.
No.
2 kids, 2 daughters. My mother, she's a strong.
How old is she?
90.
Wow.
My mother.
So you got longevity, dude. You got to make
I
eat
don't.
right.
My
No,
dad, they died young. My mother's. You want to hear crazy shit? My mother, I love her. We laugh. Smokes a pack and a half of cigarettes a day
Wow.
for 72 years.
You got good genes, baby.
Listen to this. Never exercised a day in her life. Eats Hot Pockets. Fucking shit will beat your stomach to fucking death.
When's the last time you had a Hot Pocket, Dan?
Oh man, I was 15 years old.
Dan, I don't think I wouldn't eat it. I think I used it as a hockey puck.
Hot Pockets. I'm not sure I know what that is.
Oh.
Is this the recipe for life?
That's what I
longevity,
said.
forget fasting.
I-
Hey.
Hot Pockets.
I
and,
told my mother, I says, Mom, we got to send your brain. You got to send your whole body. She watches, well, this is a little something, like her brain is a little bit. She watches the Game Show Network all day. And I watch it. I mean, I'll go in there, check on her, go back, cameras are all on my phone. And she watches Match Game 74.
Never heard of it.
It was a game out in 1974. I said, Mom, they're all dead. She says, she goes, I didn't see this one. Hey, Dan, I say to her, this is the truth. I say, I walk by and I'll answer the question. She goes, oh, it's because that same show was on the day before at a different hour and she still watched it. And I go,
That's the beauty of having that, though. You get a new movie every day, whether you've seen it or not. But I got something to
unreal.
tell you.
I love it, though.
I don't know what the span is, but there's some span in my mind. If I watched that movie 5 years ago, if I watch it after 5 years, it's likely new. Because,
you're sharp as hell.
I'm sharp, but I don't know, man.
No, you're
No.
sharp, man.
Yeah.
There's certain things, I mean, I hope to stay sharp,
But you can't look. Some movies you just don't commit to memory. See, I'll be watching a movie and I say, I know what's going. Well, a lot of times I can predict what's happening in a scene because
Well, that's just because you're human nature, maybe. But
don't you like to do that? Predict what's happening.
I'm a big movie guy, but
Well, in gangster movies, I'm sure you're predicting.
I know what's happening.
'Cause they're-
Especially if it's a real movie like Goodfellas.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that crew that did that Lufthansa, right? I mean, I knew they were older and stuff, but we were kids.
I think that the guys I went to school with were a lot from Lawrence High School up there in Long Island, and they told me that they hung around with that bunch that was in Goodfellas.
Yeah.
What was that other one? It wasn't Goodfellas. There was another one that was real.
Casino.
No, that was an older. one.
Oh, you're talking about the Bronx Tale.
Yeah.
That one totally. That's exactly where I grew up. We're gonna. So I want to end this with you here.
Okay.
Wow, man, time flies. You see how man?
How long we've been here?
Talking to you is the hour and a half.
Wow, we've been talking a lot. You talk too much, Dan.
Yeah.
Ah,
I've been
Have you
pausing,
been-
but I got to
have
say
you
one
been
thing.
born?
Hey,
yes, please, Dan.
Larry, you know what? I've just met you. You're a special guy, and
Thank you.
Don't change being you. And Ed, it's the same thing, man. Just keep.
Thank you very much.
The world needs more people like you two.
Damn,
So thank you.
I was going to get mad at him. I heard him praising you, man, and he ain't said.
Did
a
he
damn
say anything
word
about you?
it.
Thank you. I just
No,
met
Dan's,
you. Thank
Dan,
you.
You're good.
Dan's a
You
Dan's a
could
special
tell.
guy.
You could
too.
tell
Yeah,
he's a special guy. That's why I wanted. No, I only wanted the mic on him so we could say that.
No, okay.
No. Nah, good for you. No,
Now
I don't do anything special. I'm a workaholic. That's now. I love people. I love to help, like you, just like you. You love people. You like to help people.
No better feeling in the world. man.
None. You say it. It's so true. Nobody makes success alone. You need
got
a
somebody helping
hand
you.
up.
Yeah.
It's what you do with that hand up, or that knowledge,
Yeah.
or that break you get
Yeah.
that pushes you. But I think it comes from your dads and your people that gave you the work ethic. My dad was a workaholic. We did nothing, but we had certain things. You couldn't leave that table unless you got permission from your dad.
But let's talk about the
You know what
guys
I
that
mean?
don't have a dad. You're right. You were lucky, right?
Yeah, I'm very
But you
lucky.
got to have that coach, that the encourager. We're talking about
Yeah,
the
you
encourager.
totally-
You
yeah.
got to have that person, right? I mean, the first encourager. What about like my coach, my football coach? He died young, but dude, that was my favorite person. I mean, a football coach.
You must have still be mentoring a lot of you. You coached for 25 years.
Oh yeah, I tried to mentor some of my softball buddies in hitting and stuff, but No, as far as kids go, that's why I got into my Dominican boys. You know,
But
that,
when you teach somebody like, and this, sports. I was a sports. I was an athlete. I boxed. I did a bunch of stuff and power lift. I get into sports. We were good baseball player. We played in the streets. I mean, we had nothing.
yeah,
And we played in the
that's what
streets.
I did until I came
You-
to Florida.
Stick ball. We used
Stick
to play
ball, wall ball.
man. Yeah. And but it's the life lessons you learn from the stories from the old cats. We used to get old cats. We had Mr. Myers. He was his son made the pros in New York.
Mr. Myers as a coach.
Yeah, he was a coach,
Yeah.
and he was a baseball coach, and he would just say certain things at certain times that would he'd know when you were having a bad day at home or. He knew. I don't know. It's a sixth sense with some coaches, I think.
Coaches are special people. You get the right one. You get the
Absolute.
wrong one, he'll ruin you.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah.
100% right.
Especially in Little League and stuff like that. I coached midget league football for 25 years. And look, here's the
No,
story.
it's
I
little
did.
people.
That's a little people.
I'm
10,
only
10 to
kidding.
13. Well, we're right.
You can't
But
say
listen,
midget.
That's when.
Actually, I had a midget here.
Oh, that's right. You can't say midget.
No.
I'm
Did
sorry.
you know?
I said
you know
you people.
WWE Chris Hollyfield.
Yeah.
You know Chris?
No, I don't know.
The WWE, the little boogeyman. He was on with
the boogeyman.
yeah.
That got you. You're gone, buddy.
No,
The boogeyman.
no, the little boogeyman. He's a wrestler with the WWE with Hulk Hogan. He was
Yeah,
one of the
yeah,
midgets.
yeah.
He's been here. He's a friend of mine here.
Really?
He's around here.
My son, my middle son was into wrestling. He was Dirty Dick Davis, Triple D.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
He wrestled?
Yeah, but he didn't get to the big show.
Yeah,
But he did his thing, man. You know?
Wow, I used to go to that and roller derby.
Oh yeah.
Remember roller derby? You
Yeah.
don't hear many people know. Do you know
Oh,
roller
yeah.
derby up
Oh,
there?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Canada has that?
Canada, yeah.
It used to be on TV, Skinny Minnie Miller.
Right.
Yeah, man.
He's right.
Yeah. it's
I
crazy.
asked some kid that you know what roller derby is? What?
Yeah.
Roller derby, bam, with the lady and the ladies and
Yeah.
over the rail.
You know,
and-
it's like I always thought wrestling was fake, right? And
oh, it's
and,
fake, but it's
But
real.
well, listen, listen. When I went to my son, you don't know. I don't think you see him, but he's like 6'2", 260. Okay, you think about that man jumping off that rope onto. I seen him do that, and dude, it may be fake, but if you make a wrong mistake, it's going to be over, dude.
Oh, absolutely.
You
They're
know-
great athletes too.
Oh, man,
Don't
it
ever think
takes
they're not good
athletic.
athletes.
It takes. I got a guy that's like 65 years old, plays softball, but he's also a wrestler. He's still doing it, man, up there in Alabama. That's still a thing up there, bro.
Oh, I'm sure. We got to go. And
Okay.
wait, one more. So you then go, you do 25 years at Harris.
Harris. Yeah, well, actually,
after the
28
8
years. And then I went into, I came out and.
What age did you retire from Harris?
55. I believe.
And what did you do from? You did not work.
No,
did you?
I got out and I had just loaned my son 80 grand for his lawn business, and I wanted to protect that, so I went in there and tried to help him, and then we grew the lawn business from himself and one truck to 150 employees, and
Wow.
what was it, 50 trucks and a $6.5 million revenue.
Wow, good for
And
man.
then
I love
I had
that.
then I had 8 other businesses with it, so yeah,
So you've just been an entrepreneur.
big time.
You know, I helped a kid. You love this story. Talk about lawn service. He was a kid. He was an ex-con, and a friend of mine owned a lawn service company, and this kid needed a job. I said to the kid, he goes, "I'll do anything, Larry." I said, "I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you how to do this. I'm going to get you a job with this friend." And he knew anytime he was like, "Tell me I know they're going to be right." I said, "Here's your deal. You don't complain. You work. You show up every day, and you work hard. Give me that right now, your word, and I'll back you." He does it. 6 months into the thing, the guy had to go somewhere, and he said, "Can you watch the crew?" He does. Doesn't say anything. Works well. Does everything. After that, the guy gets another small complex, like 12 houses or something, and he don't want it. And he tells the kid, the kid's 30-something years old. He goes, "Do you want that?" He goes, "But here's the deal." He goes, "You have to stay with me for 6 more months, no matter what. You have to do it on weekends." He goes, "If you want," he goes, "but I don't have a mower." He goes, "You got a pickup truck." He goes, "I'm going to sell you a mower. Pay it off. Pay your weed whacker." Guy does it so good. The guy ends up now, he's got a big company in Boca Raton, Florida, doing the outside of golf courses and
courses.
stuff like that.
Right.
And I just saw him not long ago. He goes, when you come by, I go, I'm down south a lot. I have a daughter down there. And he goes, gotta stop in. And now I see him and he's like running. And he buys me lunch, you know, and he goes, man, you gave me that step up. And I says, yes.
That's what
But
you help
you
people.
ran with it.
That's it, buddy. But listen,
You ran. And I love that. I was so proud of him, man.
in case
He's making a ton of money, too. Good for
that's
him.
what you. But listen, I got to qualify something in case my middle son, hears this. You know, I didn't do all that with that landscape. I was the financier, the lawyer, the HR. My son is the guy who was on the ground floor, and he knew his stuff in the landscaping business. It could never been done by myself. I mean, I could have done it, but
You
I
know what
wasn't
it is?
into-
You're
it was
the
a teamwork.
driver,
It
but
was
you're the
teamwork.
driver. It
Well,
takes more than one.
Well, yeah, it does, but it takes a guy. I mean, it's like I got straight F's in English in the 5th grade. I told you about
Now you write a book.
I've written 5 books. Okay.
Wow.
Now here's the point.
That's
the point.
pretty amazing.
Just because that you have a deficit. Look, man. When I was high school, not high school, but grade school, they'd had to spot me a C in a spelling bee to spell cat. So I can't spell either, dude. And even on my YouTube channel, I read on some of my buddies said, "When you gonna learn how to spell,
What is your
man?"
YouTube channel?
My
Can,
YouTube.
can you guys tell me it?
Yeah,
Dan, tell
no,
me the
no,
YouTube
no.
channel.
Well, he can't tell you. He probably. If you type in Ed Rose, The Art of Hitting, you'll get my YouTube channel. Ed Rose, The Art of Hitting.
Okay, you know, I think you and I have to go to lunch one day.
Absolutely. Let's
And
do
you'll
it.
buy me lunch.
I'll buy you lunch, dinner, and a drink.
and I'm going to help you kind of organize this because
Let's do
there's
it,
a few
buddy.
thing you need to do.
I know. You know what we want to do? We want to do a podcast on softball or something interesting. I mean, we'll never get to your level.
Well,
but
here's the key though.
think I can handle a podcast?
Absolutely. If you got to come, well, let's talk off air. Maybe we
Okay,
can do something where you come here once a month to start, and then you use my equipment. I don't care.
Hey, dude, that sounds like a plan, dude.
There
I
you
love
go,
it.
helping out again, man.
Hey,
Yeah, I do.
oh, yeah, help me.
You know what? What I've learned about YouTube and even the platforms I'm on, they're different than regular media. We're bigger than regular media, but we help each other. I've been on guys' podcasts. One kid, I'm his mentor now. He's a black kid, nice kid. He's got 5.4 million YouTube people, and I go on his show, and he goes on my show. YouTubers, like when you have a big channel like mine, I have advisors from YouTube and all that and Google.
You got advisors?
Yeah, from Google. They give him.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, because when you're over a certain amount, you make a lot of money for them because it's ad advertising and stuff. That's how it works. But I'll tell you, we'll do it.
I'd like to
off air.
explore that, man. If you're serious, dude,
I told you I'll help you.
Man,
I
you're the
mean
man.
that.
Give me some here, buddy.
I do have a marketing call at
Okay.
5. That's why I'm just looking
Yeah,
at my
5
thing.
o'clock. Holy shit.
Yeah, well,
Dude, we've been talking here. I'm like.
I don't quit. I'll be
could-
working
could
here
go
till
on-
later.
I don't know if anybody's going to listen to this, man, but
Yeah, they will.
Oh, really?
And he's gonna yell at me. Look,
We over?
see?
We over?
Yeah, 5. He looked at the clock.
Okay, buddy. Well, Larry
Nick,
just
Nick, I
talked
told him
to
a
me.
little about your story. You know, and
You're the man, Nick.
he's a good
Yeah,
kid.
buddy.
He's a
Kid,
good
how you said you were 30, right?
25.
25. Oh, it's 5
I got
off.
underwear older than him.
You still got it on or what?
No, they're in the wash.
Hey, man, I tell you, this has been a joy, man.
It has.
It really has, man.
But anyway, Nick, I want to let Ed become an entrepreneur. He helps a lot of people, and I want to thank you for that. And what I want to tell people and show people out there, and thank you for coming, Dan, please,
Thanks for having me.
that no matter what you think you are, I tell people I got out of prison at 46 and made it. So your life's never over. And you were a rough kid and made choices, but even the bad choices, they mold you who you are.
Yeah.
So don't ever question, I had to come to grips with bad things I did. And I did. And I forgive them, myself. I mean, they forgave me. Most of the people didn't hate me because they made a lot of insurance money. But
well, yeah, that was a neat get. That was what do you call it? A con. That was a cool con.
yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not proud of it because you put fear in people and
Dude, it's your history, so you got to live with your history.
And you know what? You just gotta try to do better every day. Try to help a person.
You know, there's a simple saying that we've all heard since we were kids. You know, when you fall, you got to get up. And if you and
Get
a
back
bad
on the horse,
decision's just
man.
nothing more than falling one
Yeah.
time.
You know, I often tell people though, the people who become most successful is people who did make bad choices, or you take all of your mega successful people. I'm talking Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. They were crazy, and they're a little bit crazy, and they made bad choices in the beginning. Steve Jobs didn't go to work. He cared. He smelled, didn't shower. He was, you read his book. It's a crazy ride. And you know what, though?
Genius is almost close to insanity.
Absolutely, And you know what? Follow your dreams, work hard, and things happen.
That's two words. That's genius and Ed Rose have not been used in the same sentence.
Or Larry Lawton. All right, everybody.
Okay, man,
We're going to put this on. Don't you like this song here? Dun, dun,
Well,
dun.
I do like it.